If you move over 6 inches, it could be enough to put you on a bump and lock the wheels up, which might have been the case there for Tony.
As they come around, looks like Tony Kanaan's going to peel off, and it looks maybe as Simona Di Silvestro also may have pulled off down pit road. There is Simona. Vince.
It's been a terrific run for Di Silvestro so far. They're going to take off the reds and put on the blacks. Simona Di Silvestro started 17th. She is now second.
Kanaan decides to go from reds to reds. At first they had blacks on the wall. They decided to change their mind.
Clear to the wall.
Simona does get out ahead of Tony Kanaan, and a little bit farther back you can see Will Power coming out, I think it is.
A 60-mile-an-hour speed limit for going into the pit lane and exiting pit lane, but the great thing for a driver, you love it when they drop off the jacks. You can put your foot on the throttle, dump the clutch, 650 horsepower, and just spin those wheels.
Let me correct that. That was Alex Tagliani coming out behind him. And Tags is listed in the 7th spot. Here comes our race leader, and it looks like he is finally going to peel off here on lap number 37.
Okay, remember the fuel sensor, the clutch, and the gearbox here. 10-4.
60 miles an hour.
So when you get down here, you got to come around Powers, guy. They're set up. Come around them. Stop at the sign.
Here comes Will Power as well. Let's check in first with Jamie Little. She's got
come around this guy.
And Dario Franchini's car has been very good. They're just reminding him to take care of the gearbox. He's taking the reds off. He's putting the primary blacks on. Will Power in the 12 car. Remember, he had that wheel clip extension that was loose. He's been riding understeer. The 12 car, Will Power, they want to help that car out a little bit with handling. He too went to blacks. Rick?
Well, Justin Wilson to come in for what was a very routine stop. No adjustments. They simply went ahead and changed the tires, went to blacks as well. Everything went very, very smoothly in that stop.
Interesting to watch on Dario Franchini's cars. You see his target machine go along right now. They took a half a turn of wing out of the front, so that means he had too much front bite, so he wants less of that, and now he'll wait to see how these tires work underneath this run. Will it stay underneath him longer? Will his lap times improve, or will his lap times possibly fall off a little bit? That will help him make a decision whether he runs with the blacks or reds for the final pit stop.
Simona Di Silvestro under attack right now from Tony Kanaan now. And we've got a local yellow in for, the 83 of Charlie Kimball has had contact, and now it is a full course caution. And this looks like it may have happened coming out of 3.
Well, and wonder if he had just left the pit lane possibly on cold tires. We'll have to get a report and see if that might be the case. And since he's got Blackwell tires on, I would assume that possibly
he had just pitted on lap 38.
Yeah. So there's the experience factor coming out on cold tires underneath race conditions when you're driving in anger. And I did notice previously when before we had this yellow that Tony Kanaan was very close to Simona Di Silvestro, and that's because he has more experience of leaving the pit lane on cold tires and taking advantage of what we call the outlap.
There's your race leader, Dario Franchitti. In second place is the rookie James Jakes, but he pitted back on lap 3. All right, let's see what happened here as we go back on board with Charlie Kimball.
The tires are very cold. Yep, just understeering into the wall. Now, when the tires start to warm up, the pressures come up, they build up. You'll end up having the grip back, and he's on the black tires, not the reds. Remember, the reds are softer, so he would have been used to having a little bit more grip, not only from the heat in the tires, but also the softer compound. That is what we call a rookie mistake, and I assure you that he will remember that one for the next event.
Okay, now here's our first opportunity to talk about how the pits, once they open, will remain open. This could be a big benefit to Sebastian Saavedra. He is the one and only car 1 lap down. If he stays out, gets the wave around, he can then come all the way around, come back into the pits, get tires, fuel, and try and rejoin the group before they will not hold up the start, but he could at least get back on the lead lap.
A little different, as we explained at the opening of the show previously. Once they started to do the wave around, once the leader was behind the pace car, they would then go ahead and close the pits. Now they're leaving it open for the reason you mentioned.
Second place rookie James Jakes, he peels off, comes down pit road, and also it looks like Scott Dixon, who is running in 17th, 4 laps down. Vince?
James Jakes, the rookie, remember his car was so badly damaged they barely made it out to start this race in time. They had to start at the back of the pack. He's been able to make it all the way up into the top 5, and now he stalls the car. He stalls it. They got to get the starter out. Another maybe one of those rookie mistakes, Scott, that we've talked about throughout the course of this day.
Join neutral.
Let you know the 4, J.R. Hildebrand. There he goes underneath your screen. There's Anna Beatrice, as she has made a pit stop. The 3 of Elio Castroneves. Elio is 15 laps down, shown in 21st position. You also saw Saavedra. It looked like he came down and did not wait for the wave around. If that, we'll verify that when we come back. As there is the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg Top 5. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
ESPN's coverage of the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on ABC. Brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD INDYCAR Series. And IZOD, the official apparel sponsor of the IZOD INDYCAR Series.
All right, back here under our 5th caution at St. Petersburg with Dario Franchitti, our race leader, Will Power, Simona Di Silvestro, the top 3. We've got a moment. Let's talk about the motorsports calendar because the SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals will qualifying next Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. And then the final Sunday at 4:30 Eastern, also on ESPN2. Next stop for the NASCAR Nationwide Series is at Texas. That's Friday, April 8th. Week off next week, 8 o'clock Eastern, ESPN2. And the IndyCars, the Grand Prix of Alabama, Sunday, April 10th, 3 Eastern, with our friends over on Versus. Okay, we mentioned the fact that there might have been the potential for the wave around. Well, of course, the wave around would only work if the leaders all pitted. They did not, so Sebastian Saavedra will not have the opportunity to get back onto the lead lap. He is 15th right now, 1 lap down. Let's take a look at our Firestone lap leaders. We've only had 2 of them, and the dominant one is the guy that's still up front.
And now he's going to have more pressure from behind than he's had all race. And the pole sitter, Will Power. No doubt Dario Franchitti knows how strong Will is. They will take a shot at this, see if he can get down to turn 1 ahead of Will Power. Will Power has been noted as the king of the streets right now. We'll see between these two who can lead lap 1.
Let's check in quickly with Vince Welch.
The restart here, Charlie Kimmel. What happened? You just come in and got fresh tires, and then on the out, what happened?
I just overestimated the grip. You know, it's the first time I've done a hot pit stop here in IndyCar, and tires were a lot colder. I had a lot more understeer than I was expecting. I knew I had to push to get in front of Sato and Danica. Knew where I was, sort of looking inside the top 10. You know, for my first 40 laps in an IndyCar, I was happy with how I'd run. I just, made a rookie mistake. I'll learn from it, move forward from here.
Lesson learned. Well done. Marty?
All right, thanks, Vince. And as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, we can tell you Ryan Hunter-Reay, they first listed him as officially out. He is back into the race, 24 laps down, though, in 22nd position. Pace car pulls off. Dario Franchitti selects the inside again. Everybody forms up. They meet the line, and we're back to Green Flag Racing.
That was probably the nicest 2 lines of race cars we've had, whether it's the start or any restarts.
Whoa, little contact there, but everybody checks up in enough time to make it through. And was that Will Power?
Looked like the 22 of Justin Wilson. Looks like he had a problem in the middle of the turn, possibly a mix up in the gearbox or something of that nature. He just lost power and drive for a moment.
There he is, and Danica's got more damage on the wing. Oh, and more contact. James Jakes, who had come in, and he has contact. Anna Beatrice in the 24 also involved. She spins it around to get back on. That is right down in the turn 4 section of the racetrack. Still no full course caution. We're racing, but Danica's got another wing damaged. And again, it's the left front.
Yep, come in if you need. Come in if it doesn't go yellow. Come in if it doesn't go yellow.
That's Scott Dixon going around Danica. Dixon right now in 16th spot, 4 laps down.
Now through the high-speed section where she's going through right there a lot, she's really off the pace. You're going through that at 140 miles an hour if your car is in good shape. But for her, she's going to come in, change that wing out again. We talked about having 1 spare in the pit lane. The rest will be back in the transporter.
She was 12th when this happened. And boy, look at the action up front right now because Tony Kanaan is all over Will Power.
I mentioned before, Will Power's car just not the same as it was on Friday practice or on Saturday. A lot of drivers thought that if he did not have a problem in the race that he would be gone. Not sure if they made some changes overnight or the track has changed a little bit itself as more cars run throughout the weekend. Remember, this is city streets. It starts to put rubber down. Maybe his car just doesn't perform the same with a lot of rubber on the track versus when it was really just terrible on Friday when it was all dirty and dusty.
Right side of your screen, Danica Patrick gets the new nose put on, and now that local yellow that we saw back on turn number 4, that has been withdrawn. We're back to full Green Flag Racing around this entire 14-turn, 1.8-mile circuit. Let's go back on board with Danica and see what happened this time to create her second incident of nose damage.
Down turn 1. You start getting in through the turn. Oh, that was the situation. Remember we talked about the 22, Justin Wilson having a problem, maybe just not having an opportunity to get out of the turn as quickly as usual. That's no fault of her own, but she has her new wing on the front, and she's now going to be in chase mode.
She's 38 seconds behind the race leaders, and she's in 13th position. And look at this 1-2-3 battle. Some great action going on up front with Franchitti in the 10, Power in the 12, Kanaan in the 82.
Interesting on the restart, Franchitti's car comes in really quickly. It takes about a lap or 2 before Will Power's car comes in, and I almost think that Tony Kanaan right now might be the fastest out of the 3.
Rick, you've got an update on Tony Kanaan?
Yeah, he said very little about the car. In fact, the only thing he said about the car so far in terms of how it's working is he said good at one point on the radio. But in talking about the way things have been going with the team this weekend, I mentioned that their expectations were just to try to do well. Now they're trying to compete for the victory. One of the things that Tony Kanaan was saying with the new engineer, Mike Cannon, Tony kept wanting to make changes. However, Mike kept talking him out of him, and he finally had to go, okay, Mike, you're the engineer, we'll do it your way. And so far, it's working.
Well, Tony's never won here, but he's finished second back in 05, and then 3 straight years he finished third, 06, 07, and 08. His worst finish was last year, and it was still a top 10.
You know, when you team Marty and top engineers like Mike Cannon, sometimes you need to be a driver. Sometimes you need to come in and report what the car is doing, whether it's understeering, oversteering, divide the turn up into phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, tell the engineer what it does in all 3 phases of the turn, be very descriptive. Certainly you can add in whether you think the shocks need adjusting on bump or rebound, what you might think was springs, but sometimes you just need to tell the information to the engineer, let him go in there and look at all the data that they collect, and then he comes out with what he feels would be an improvement on the car. Sometimes it's best to put yourself into the car, put the belts on, put your helmet on, and drive.
And Franchitti is starting to open up a little bit of ground over second place Will Power as they come down the front straightaway. Behind those 3, it's Di Silvestro on 4th, Alex Tagliani 5th, and Rafa Matos in 6th. All right, let's take a lap around this 1.8-mile circuit, the IZOD Speed Zone.
Is there anywhere else I can help you?
Coming through turn 9 there as you're on board with Will Power.
This is through the kink area, 4th up through 5th gear, up to 150 miles an hour, down the section, back down to 2nd gear. This is the area that's caused a lot of problems for a lot of drivers. This fast right left hand, 140 miles an hour taken in 5th gear, hard on the brakes. Difficult there because the car is still really under anger. It's really twisted up as you're trying to come off. Going into 13, you have to make sure before you apply the brakes that the car is straight.
You know, we were talking about the red and black combination. Of the top 10, only Tony Kanaan and J.R. Hildebrand in 10th are running the alternate softer compound reds. Everybody else in black.
And you know, we talked about the softer tires, the red sidewall. Those tires, as we mentioned, do have more grip. They will give you a lot more speed around the race course, but they do have the possibility of falling off. And what we say that we're talking about the car starting to lose its grip. You might get 30 to 34 laps under fuel here. Well, a lot of drivers last year complained that the tires were starting to fall off after 26 to 28 laps and dramatically fall off in speed. And so now a lot of people that are running these black standard sidewall tires, maybe a little less speed, but they will look to see if the tires will stay underneath them for the full fuel run.
Firestone telemetry, as you can see, working up through the gears, and oh man, you go so close to that wall. And as we pointed out, two of the best have hit that wall in turn 11, Dario Franchitti and Sebastian Bourdais.
Now, Marty, I say this to you, but it's fun for a driver to go and challenge the wall every time you go through there. It becomes really just an exercise of trying to make yourself perfect. And again, as we watch the Firestone telemetry, back down to about 60 miles an hour usually, back on the gas. Watch how quickly the speeds go up here. Usually full on the throttle. Now, Will Power the other day was flat from turn 1 all the way through turn 4. This tells me now that he's feathering the throttle in places. He's not having the ability to put the power down on the car.
Challenge the wall. Sounds like it's come from a guy who's hit it too many times.
That is true.
Hey, Wednesday, April 13th, catch the series premiere of ABC's Happy Endings. When life throws you a curve, hold on tight to the people you love. It's a special premiere of ABC's Happy Endings, Wednesday, April 13th at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. It's after Modern Family. Let's get an update on Will Power running in second place. Jamie Little.
Well, his team telling him right now, save fuel for us, but don't lose sight of Dario. Scott Goodyear, as a former driver yourself, how difficult is that?
Well, that's sometimes when you want to turn the radio off, Jamie. Unfortunately, they put the radio out of reach of the drivers inside the cockpit. So you understand the instructions, and saving fuel, you can do that by turning back the knob on the steering wheel from being standard full fuel and leaning it out. Now, there's another way to do it, and that's up to the drivers. And some drivers like Dario Franchitti are just masters of that, and that's squeezing the throttle, coming out of turns, rolling into the turns, letting the car carry speed through the turns without using the brake too much, and just trying to keep the car up to speed through the turns. Some guys are very good at it. Will Power's another one, but it's very difficult when somebody tells you on the radio, hey, let's just slow up just a little bit.
Well, we just passed halfway as 50 down, 50 to go here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg with Dario Franchitti. He's led 46 of those 50 laps. Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. You're looking at race leader Dario Franchitti. His lead over Will Power is 1 second. There goes Will in the 12. Right behind him is third place Tony Kanaan, who is 1.6 seconds behind. There you see him in the Geico 82. Now we drop back a little bit further because Simona Di Silvestro has fallen back about 3 seconds behind Tony. She is running in that 4th position. Still a great run for her here at her 2nd time at St. Petersburg. And as we get ready to go up to speed, let's check in on 5th place, which is Alex Tagliani and Rick DeBrule.
And Alex Tagliani telling the team the car's a little loose, but so far he doesn't want to make any changes. The big change for him, though, this season is that he's now an employee. Sam Schmidt Motorsports bought the team. As a result, he stepped away from the owner's role. He says he likes being a driver. It's just having to concentrate on that and not all the other stuff. Remember, last year he finished 6th. So far, he's 1 spot better. Vince?
Well, and Scott documented earlier the situation with Rafa Matos, how he found out he lost his ride with the Farron on the same day that his father passed. This season has special meaning for Rafa Matos, and it also has special meaning because he's reunited with Gary Peterson, the car owner. He won the Indy Lights title with Peterson in 2008, and they are very excited about their race car so far here in the early going. Remember, he did not test. The first time he was in this car was on Friday when practice got underway. And Takuma Sato had such a learning experience of a season a year ago in his first season in the IZOD INDYCAR Series. He says, I expect it to be much better in 2011. We're certainly seeing that here in the early going of this race at St. Petersburg. He's benefited from Tony Kanaan's presence in just 1 week with Kanaan with the team. Rick?
Justin Wilson right behind him. The big news for Justin Wilson is for the first time, he's going into a team for the 2nd year with no changes. Same team, same staff, same Larry Curry up on the wall calling the shots. He says it's been a massive comfort zone coming into this race, knowing he wasn't have to reinvent everything. He's done well this weekend. He's been nibbling away. Remember, he had a good finish in 2nd last year. The question is, can he try to squeeze up? He's got a few more positions to go, but again, they're very comfortable. Vince?
Running in 9th is the 02 of Oriol Servia, running for Newman Haas. Their worst session the entire weekend was qualifying. That's why they started 15th. Got the Telemundo sponsorship announced today or earlier in the weekend. He says securing a ride with this team allowed him to breathe easier. He had not raced in the IZOD INDYCAR Series since Japan of 2009. That also was with Newman Haas. He had a top 5 finish that day, and they believe they can be a top 10 team every time out. Rick?
Let's talk about J.R. Hildebrand. He signed with Panther back in December. John Barnes watched him during the course of the season. Remember, he did 2 IndyCar races. Felt he was a gutsy driver, but they wanted to have a test at Phoenix International Raceway first. They did that, and by noon, they decided he was their man. Just from what they saw on the track that morning, they knew he was the gutsy driver that they were looking for. As a result, he's in the car. He's had 6 solid tests, and now he so far seems to be having a good, solid run today. Right behind him is Vitor Mira in A.J. Foyt's car, and the thing missing today is A.J. Foyt. A.J. Foyt, they discovered he had one of his arteries 95% blocked. The good news is they were able to fix it by putting a stent in without having to do a full bypass. But as a result, he's not here. Larry Foyt is here calling the shots. Vitor Mira having a bit of a frustrating day, but considering how it could have been for A.J. Foyt, it's not bad. Vince?
Danica Patrick running 12th, and certainly has been an adventurous day for her. They've changed the front nose assembly on that car twice today, and we've also talked about her transition from NASCAR to IndyCar this season. She's also making an engineering transition as well, because Eddie Jones, her engineer the past couple of years, has switched over to Marco Andretti, and Danica is working with Tino Belli as her engineer this season. Anna Beatrice running 13th for Brian Reinbold. She drove 4 races with DNR last year, and her goal today, improve, improve, improve. Every session they have gotten better.
Team on pit road, but we'll try and get an update on it. Had a tire going down, we're just being told from race officials. So he goes back to the alternate reds, so he will get back out on track. He's still on the lead lap. You know, you were mentioning Anna Beatrice. She turned 30 back on March 18th. Danica Patrick had a birthday on Friday, turning 29, and we should tip happy birthday to Vitor Mira. He is 34 today. There is your race leader, Dario Franchitti. He doesn't have a birthday today, but he might be eating the cake at the end of this one. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of Will Power and Tony Kanaan. There they are in second and third here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. ESPN, your NBA destination, and tomorrow night the playoff push continues. We've got a doubleheader. First at 8 Eastern, it's the Trailblazers taking on the Thunder. Then at 10:30 Eastern, Mavericks face the Suns. It's the NBA on ESPN tomorrow, and both games available online at ESPN3.com and also on your phone. We've knocked down 58 of 100 laps here at St. Petersburg, this 1.8-mile street course. Our race leader on the right-hand side of your screen, streaking away, is Dario Franchitti, 1.7 seconds ahead of Will Power and Tony Kanaan. And there he is going around Anna Beatrice, a little slower traffic. Anna was the last car on the lead lap in 13th spot. She is now one lap down, along with Sebastian Saavedra, who's 14th, James Jakes in 15th.
And Marty, probably one more pit stop for most of these drivers, including our leader right now, Dario Franchitti. Now, he started off with the red alternate tires. He has now since gone to black. That means he gets to choose whether he wants to use red or black for the next segment. I have noticed that Simona Di Silvestro seems like she's fallen off the pace when she went from red to the blacks. She also has the option, because she's now used one of each. Maybe she'll become quicker. But the most important part is the guy that right now that is running third, Tony Kanaan. He's used reds for both segments. He just have to use blacks. Maybe he might lose speed in the last portion.
Well, did you see how much ground Dario was able to pick up? Because there is James Jakes. He is giving way. He's 2 laps down now, but Anna Beatrice and James slowed up second and third, Will Power and Tony Kanaan. And there you see the top 5 on the lower left side of your screen.
And Tony's going to have a look on the inside. He knows that pit stops are coming up soon. He knows he wants to get past Will Power ahead of him.
They're coming through the corner. The kink is Franchitti took big advantage. He's now opened that lead up to 2.1 seconds over these two guys. And they've got to try and reel him in. Just quickly, that one section you were talking about, it's such a precise area to get through. And Franchitti got through the lap traffic before the other two.
And so important. And that would be calculated by him, because he would know that if I can get past a couple of cars going through that segment we spoke about at the opening of the show, 4 through 9, impossible to pass through that section. He just gained himself some time. He also, it's important with that, is that if there is a bit of a mishap in his pit stop, hopefully it's enough time for him to be able to get back out. You read to pad your lead if you can. That's why he's pushing so hard right now.
Jamie, what are you hearing down in pit lane?
Well, I'll tell you what, when you look at Dario Franchitti's record here at St. Pete, he is having a a great day. Before this race, he had only led 18 laps here and has never won. Today, he's led all but 4 laps. And Scott, you were talking about the strategy and what to do on this last and final pit stop of the day, what tires to take. Well, these guys don't like to show their hand, but Dario Franchitti's crew, they have a set of red sticker tires on the wall. As far as Will Power, who's behind him, no tires yet.
Interesting fact, and I think they'll have to make a decision shortly. Pit stop should be up in about 10 laps or so. But what Franchitti wants, clear sailing, no yellows, because he doesn't want these guys to pack up behind him. For the second car in the field right now, Will Power, behind him, Tony Kanaan. If they have a yellow and a restart, it's an opportunity to be able to take a run at Dario Franchitti.
Dario's best finish here, third, finished 5th here last year. Now let's check in on Simona Di Silvestro. There she is in 4th. Vince?
Maybe one of the most impressive performances of the day. Di Silvestro started 17th, getting plenty of support from the pit box.
Hey, great job. TK in front of you is on red, so that's key information. How's the balance? Pretty good. Keep those strong laps coming. Doing awesome.
You heard the encouragement there, and also encouraging her to use the push to pass, even if it's got to be a defensive maneuver. You see on her own right now, but she was in lap traffic just a little bit ago. Use that push to pass to get by.
Well, her career best finish was at Mid-Ohio last year when she came home in 8th place. But remember, she led those laps back at Sao Paulo last season.
Very impressive run. Everybody knew that she was really a great driver when she did that last year, a hometown race. Remember, this is a punishing racetrack. It's really not, it's unforgiving. We talked about that before. We've seen drivers over the last couple of days make mistakes on their own, even great champions like Dario Franchitti. It's 85 degrees here today. The humidity's up a little bit. It's very punishing inside that cockpit. The true tale will be here for all these drivers, those last 10 or 15 laps when the sweat's dripping in your eye, your hands are sore from turning the wheel, trying to hang on to the steering wheel, being bounced around over here. Will you be able to get to the end? It's a punishing event.
Speaking about getting to the end, we're running lap number 64 of 100. As we mentioned, we expect to have pit stops around lap 71, and that will affect strategy. We'll talk about it when we come back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Let's check the motorsports calendar for you because the SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals with qualifying Saturday at 7 Eastern and the finals next Sunday at 4:30 Eastern. Both those on ESPN2. And then our NASCAR Nationwide Series telecast from Texas will be Friday, April 8th. We're off next week. It's 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama will be that Sunday, April 10th, 3 o'clock Eastern, over on Versus. You're riding on board. That is Will Power. He is in second place, 4.6 seconds behind race leader Dario Franchitti. Right behind him is Tony Kanaan.
Back end steps out just a little bit as he puts his foot on the gas, a little bit oversteer. Fun, but maybe not the fastest.
34 laps to go. We're hearing Simona Di Silvestro in fourth will pit in about 2 laps. That'll still be enough to get her home on that load of fuel.
Well, you know something, I like that strategy because maybe they're thinking they get her in the pit lane without it being very busy. She gets an opportunity to practice more stops with an Indy car, and then she does it a couple of laps sooner than everybody else. Maybe she puts the reds back on and she gets out there and gets to get settled instead of being around a busy pit lane. I like the thinking if that's what they're looking at.
Well, especially if she does get in, get out, and then a quick caution were to come out, she cycles right through to the head of the field. While all this goes on, continue to watch this battle. It's the best one we have on track. We have now a total.
Good on fuel, okay to push. Good on fuel, okay to push.
You heard the go sign.
Okay, so that means they can get to the specified lap with the fuel on board that they want. Watch Tony start to push that car just a little bit more. It's going to take a lot to be able to unsettle Will Power because he really is the road course master, but he just be gauging exactly in his mirrors where Tony is strong and where he might be a little stronger. Now, possibly, Will Power might have got the same information.
Oriol Servia is in from 9th place. Vince.
Putting on the primary black tires, 4 tires, filling it up full of fuel. The new fueling system, the car has to go in neutral while the probe is in. They're having trouble getting the air jack connection loose. So it costs a little time to Oriol Servia.
And Vince, you mentioned that fuel probe that Honda has developed. What that does is that if the driver comes into the pit box and he has not got the car in neutral, when they stick the fuel probe in there, there's a sensor that then electronically places the car in neutral. So the wheels will not turn when the crew is trying to change the rear wheels. And then the other side of it also, if the car tries to be put into first gear when the car still has the fuel probe in, it will not allow it until the fuel probe is removed. Remember, we've had drivers leave the pit box before with the fuel probe still in because they're in a hurry to leave. Well, this new system by Honda will stop that, and then the driver then can select first gear and leave safely.
You heard on the radio, 14 push to pass. We haven't talked about it during the race because, quite honestly, through the early go of the race, nobody has really been leaning on that button.
Hold your brake.
We're going to see that.
Watch Brett. Watch Brett.
And Takuma Sato is in as well as
Go.
Vince.
Good job, man. Go.
Well, we'll bring it back out onto the track because here comes Tony Kanaan. He's putting the pressure on. He got the go signal and he's going.
He is going, but talk about pressure, just watching those pit stops. The pressure is on the crew also because they do not want to make a mistake. The pressure's on the drivers all the way around the circuit. The crew, they train throughout the wintertime. They do not want to make a mistake. The pressure's on them to have 8 seconds of perfection for the fuel and also the tires. Now, we talked about Will Power to watch right now in his Verizon car. Got married just back in December to Elizabeth Cannon, now Elizabeth Power. And I said to him the other day, I said, how is it, because Elizabeth is the PR person for the Dreyer and Reinbold team, and I said, how is it when you guys get home at night, maybe have a discussion about racing? He goes, you know what? It really ticks me off when she walks around the house with a Justin shirt on. She said, I don't know, you know, that Justin Wilson shirt that she has, he says, I think I'm going to go out and wash the car with it.
77 just finishing up a pit stop. What was going on, Rick?
Tagliani brought the car. They changed to red and they made no other changes, even though he's been complaining the car is just a little bit loose. But they've decided to go to the reds for this very last stint. Overall, very happy with the way the car's running.
We've completed 69 laps, 70 this next time by. We should be seeing the race leaders. Danica is in, Vince.
You see they put on the softer compound red tires for Danica Patrick on the final pit stop, filling her up with fuel.
She just went a lap down as the race leaders went by. She is in 12th position. She could cycle back through, obviously, when they make their stops. 78 at Simona Di Silvestro, Vince.
It's been a strong run. They debated red or blacks. Reds was the call for Simona. They put them on, and away she goes. They've encouraged her with outstanding laps leading to the pit stop, and so often those laps end up being crucial.
60 miles an hour all the way to pit out for Simona. She was at the very far end of pit lane. On the right side of your screen, the battle continues. Every time Power checks a mirror, all he sees is Geico coming at him.
Well, and you remember Power has his black sidewall tires on, which don't have as much grip. Maybe he can't get into the braking zone as well as Tony Kanaan, who has the red tires on, a little bit more grip. But we always thought that the red ones might fall off just a little bit, but Tony seems to have just a little bit better under braking than Will Power. The key thing, though, is to be able to get back on the gas, to keep that strategy going, to keep pressure on him, and maybe take an opportunity if Will makes a mistake, but very seldom he does.
L1.
So Dario is making his way down pit road as he'll give up the lead for the first time in quite a while, Jamie.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Very
1.
interesting strategy here, Marty.
Yeah, we got a wing
Four
change here.
reds are scuffed, but the left front is a sticker red tire. One turn of front wing for Dario Franchitti. He's dominating today. He's down and away.
8.2 seconds on the clock.
Come on.
And it means that Will Power will become the leader again. The second time he's led today. Our third lead change. He's led now a total of, I think, about 5 laps. Justin Wilson, Rick.
Clear out. Watch the speed.
We'll get more an update from Rick. Meanwhile, as Justin comes back out on the track, waiting to see if Will Power peels off, and yes, he does. And here comes Kanaan. This is going to be a battle.
All right, we're ready.
Pressure on the crew.
All right, guys, 4 of them. Got an open box behind you here, bud. Open box behind you.
Kanaan hits
Nice and easy here,
pit
guys.
box first. Rick, we're sending
right
it
on your
to
mark,
you.
buddy. Right on your mark.
Tony
Nice and
Kanaan
easy.
brings the car in. They had a
Good
concern
job.
earlier. They thought
Hold the
Will
brake.
Power was getting better fuel
Nice and
mileage, so
easy.
he's actually been laying
Watch
off
Eric
this
now.
last
Watch
stint,
Eric.
trying to
Watch
get better
Eric.
mileage. No changes to the
Go.
car.
All clear. Clear to the wall. Clear to the wall.
You
You got
can see these
power.
red scuffed tires all the way around for the 12 of Will Power, your winner here last year.
Power gets out in front of Tony Kanaan. So the battle is still joined just as it left the track. They come back on in the same position, and now Dario Franchitti retakes the race lead. Now the question is, were they able to reel him in? Remember, he had opened up quite a sizable margin on him when he broke off for his pit stop.
Well, he'll just have to be the master, making sure he hits his points and hopefully gets the traffic correct. Be interested to see what happens right now between Power and Kanaan. How close will they be? Both these guys are experienced. The outlaps are so important. If you can take advantage over your competitor when your tires are cold and the pressures are not up, it takes a lot of talent to be able to maneuver that car and guess where it's going to land going over the bumps, because the tires don't have the pressure and temperature there yet. They don't have the grip. If Tony's going to take a run at it, he's going to have to do it this time. It does not look like he is close enough.
Look at an official time. 6.4 seconds, the difference between Franchitti and Power. And
He
that was
wanted
close.
to.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to because he's on black tires, and if the tires get up to temps and the reds are going to be better as we suspect they are, I think you will see Will Power start to drive away.
So it's get him now or you may not get another chance.
Well, and the rules regulate that you actually have to use one set of each, and Tony had not used the black sidewall tires as of yet, so he had no choice except to put those on for this last segment. It might end up costing him an opportunity to take Will.
So we have completed 73 of the 100 laps, and out in front it is Dario Franchitti looking for his first ever win here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on ABC. Brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD INDYCAR Series. GoDaddy.com, domains, websites, and everything in between. And Verizon, official wireless partner of the IZOD INDYCAR Series.
You're riding on board. Second place, Will Power. Behind him is a hard-charging Tony Kanaan, but we've watched during the break, and a couple of times he was getting mighty loose.
Tony's got the back end sliding around, tells you he's driving at 10/10ths or more. He closes up under braking. Now there's a choice for brake pads and brakes that you can use here for all the different teams, and Tony might just have a little bit more of the aggressive brake pad in his car. It allows him to get a little deeper into the turn and really punish that pad, but the downside of that is that you could lock up the wheels going into the braking zone, and with an experienced driver like Tony Kanaan, he knows exactly where to place the car, so maybe he's taking that to his advantage. But it all comes down to the package here, the driver, the car, and the strategy for getting up front. And right now Tony looks like he has enough to stay with Will. I expected Will to pull away a little bit more with those red sidewall tires because they do offer more grip, but Tony's being able to keep him just within range there.
There's your race leader, 7.6 seconds ahead of second place Will Power. That's how big a margin as he has gained. As we take a look at our Firestone lap leaders, it won't take long. There's only been 2. Dario Franchitti has led all but 6 laps of this race.
And you look at that stat, and that's probably opposite to what we thought we would see here, the way that Will Power ran the last couple of days. We talked about how strong he was on both Friday and Saturday. A lot of teams, as I mentioned earlier, said, you know something, if he does not have a problem, he's going to walk away with this event. But it turns out that it's Dario Franchitti right now that seems to have it all going his way.
See that third car coming through? That is Simona Di Silvestro. If you have not been with us throughout the entire race, this young lady has just been fantastic today. As she started in the 17th position, has gotten all the way up and has been running in the top 5 consistently since the second caution period ended.
And remember, we talked about her having the option of using black sidewall or red sidewall. You can see there clearly she has the red sidewall Firestone Firehawk tires on.
Got your overtake, nice and smooth, nice and smooth. You're catching them. Take your time.
A little bit more grip. Unfortunately, just had a lot of debris, some paper going inside the radiator inlet there. Hopefully that won't cause her a problem. But watching her times, Marty, she's turning laps somewhere in the neighborhood of a half a second faster than both Power and Kanaan now than our leader, Dario Franchitti. So it looked like her car, certainly as we thought it did, likes the red sidewall tires better.
Talking about the overtakes, the push to pass, Tony Kanaan has 11 left. Will Power has 13. Dario Franchitti has 15, and according to our statistics, Simona has not used it yet. Vince, give us an update on Simona.
Well, they've been really happy with the way her race car has handled. They've worked on it all weekend long to get it to her liking. You see there Vince Kramer in the front. He's the team manager. Keith Wiggins, the team owner, standing in the back. After the last pit stop, Vince Kramer went around to each of the crew members, shook their hand, patted them on the back.
65-2 on red. Doing a great job. Nice and smooth, focused.
Heard the radio communication there from Brent Harvey, but Kramer went around to each of the crew members and congratulated them on a job well done as they finished their final pit stop of the day, or what should be their last pit stop of the day. Very solid on pit lane today for this HVM team.
Talking about the red and the blacks, the red alternates, all but 3 drivers in the top 10 are using those red alternates, including Simona. The 3 that are not, Tony Kanaan, Takuma Sato in 5th, Oriol Servia in 9th. J.R. Hildebrand, we should point out, we haven't seen him for a while, but we'll let you know he is rounding out the top 10 right now. The rookie doing a great job, 34 seconds behind the race leader, but in 10th place.
And we talk about Simona having 20 of the pushes left on her acceleration mode, as we call it, the push to pass, the Honda overtake assist. She'll want to use that going on to the main straightaway, just in this section right now, because you have 20 options. She's not used any. From what we can tell, it lasts for 12 seconds. And with, about 20 laps to go, this is when she really needs to start using it.
That man in the middle of this sandwich is Tony Kanaan. Rick, what are you hearing?
Well, we were just giving a shout out to Simona Di Silvestro's crew. We also need to do the same thing for Tony Kanaan's crew. The reason being, realize that these guys were not a pit crew 2 weeks ago. They've all been pulled together. Now, it's not a ragtag bunch. It's all people that KB Racing has worked with in the past, but they had to pull them all together and realize his pit stops were on par with Will Power and the Penske crew. They've done a great job. And I'll also mention that Tony Kanaan, after he got out of the car for practice yesterday, the final practice, went around to every crew member and thanked him after he got out of the car. He's working hard to build a team.
Well, and speaking of the team concept, of course, remember earlier in the week, Marco Andretti had basically put it out that you know, Tony was a good driver, valuable, but was not the only reason the team had success. Tony has taken the high road. He said, look, the only thing I can say is I won 14 races, and I'm going to leave on the high note. And he talked about it.
I've done my time. I won a lot of races with a team that I was proud to be part of it, and that became to an end, and I wish them the best, and I have a new home. I have more things to worry about than what people say about me, really. If I was going to worry about the people that don't like me or like me too much, I think we were going to go crazy.
Well, I remember earlier this weekend, I asked him about all that, and he said, I'm going to let my driving do the talking, and he is right now running in 3rd place.
By far, all the drivers are fit, but Tony Kanaan really probably takes it to the next level. You probably will not have to worry about any fatigue with him or Will Power. Drivers that really do a lot of training. Top drivers here, where we talked about running 85-degree temperatures inside that cockpit. The temperature in the cockpit can reach about 130 degrees. There's no water bottle system usually on board on some of these cars. They've come up with some great systems in the past, but I will tell you that, you know, the systems they do have after about 10 or 15 laps, it's so hot, the fluids that they give you, that sometimes you almost don't even want it.
Well, we mentioned J.R. Hildebrand as he had a bit of a moment just a few moments ago. Let's go back on board with him. He's running in 10th.
Watch him coming here. It'll be about 158, 60 miles an hour. And oh, so close.
You're clear. Bring her on down. Bring her on down. You got the 9 coming. You got the 9 coming.
Talked earlier in the show about how much speed he has, and has the ability, has the talent. A great driver, but needs to have a little patience.
Well, that was Oriol Servia, who was 9th place right in front of him at that moment. So it was a bit of a moment for J.R. Hildebrand. Dario Franchitti leading with 18 to go at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The Grand Prix of St. Petersburg is green. Oh, they're going to try 4 wide. We have contact and a huge crash right in the first corner. 4 cautions in the first 15 laps and 1 since. And for Dario Franchitti, He's had pretty much clear sailing because it's always been happening behind him. As you can see, his lead over Will Power is now 7.6 seconds. Tony Kanaan is third. Simona Di Silvestro is fourth, and a great run, and Takuma Sato rounds out the top 5. A total of 12 cars on the lead lap, and you just heard 15 laps to go as he goes past Anna Beatrice. One more time, puts her another lap down. She is in 14th.
Tony, 15 to go, buddy. 15 to go.
There is second, third, and fourth, and we have confirmed this because it still shows Simona with 20 push-to passes left. That's what they give you at the start of the race. She has not used a single one.
Well, it's amazing because that push-to-pass, that the Honda Overtake Assist system that's on board of all the cars, you allow 20 pushes of the button. It gives you 10 more horsepower, a couple hundred more RPM, and it lasts for 12 seconds. Drivers usually like to push it coming into the last turn, so you get that boost going all the way down the main straightaway. But maybe she's got a problem with the system, or maybe she just flat forgot that she's got it.
She's focused. That's one thing on that car right in front of her. This is second, third, and fourth place. Our best battle on the racetrack. And the laps continue to wind down. 15 to go.
Now we can see that she has 20 left. Her team also can see that she has 20 of the Honda Overtake Assist push to pass left. So they should be telling her, hey, don't forget that you have this button.
Great job, Sim. Great job. You're coming to some lap cars here in the next 2 laps. Be prepared. Focus.
Vince, you've got more on Simona?
I think it's an indication of how good her car is running, guys, that they have not had to use the push to pass. I just confirmed with Vince Kramer, the team manager, it does work. He said she just doesn't feel like she needs it right now. So I'd expect her to use a few of them here in these final 15 laps.
Doing an excellent job here in the season opener in the streets of St. Petersburg.
Now it's ironic that she's trying to chase down Tony Kanaan, and her engineer that she had last year and for the test at Barber Motorsport Park just a little while ago picked up and left on Monday of this week to go over to Tony. So maybe a little bit more incentive for her to be able to get past Tony just directly in front of her.
Right in front of her is Tony Kanaan and that number 82 Geico machine. Rick, what are you hearing?
Well, let's talk about Tony's strategy for holding off Simona. The team feels that one of the reasons Simona's been able to gain is because she went to those red, the alternate tires with a softer compound, which gave her that ability to move up. Tony's on the black tires. Now, the advantage of the black tires, they're more consistent over the long run. Those red tires give a bigger advantage early on. What they're hoping is over the next few laps that advantage that Simona had been seeing with the lap times is going to fade away. And as a result of the consistency of those black tires, black wall tires, they'll be able to continue to pull away. But they were making the point they needed to have it happen soon because she was gaining pretty fast.
Well, and you just saw Tony do a brilliant move of diving on the inside of James Jake just into turn 1, gave himself some space between himself and Simona, and Simona did a nice job. She didn't push the issue. She went in there cleanly, and she got through cleanly. She's got a little space to make up now to be able to get back onto the tail end of the Geico machine of Tony Kanaan.
While all this is going on, we'll tell you Dario Franchitti, his lead is still at 7.4 seconds. Power, Kanaan, Di Silvestro in that battle for second through fourth. There you see our race leader going through. And then it is a big drop to fifth place. 22 seconds back is Takuma Sato. Alex Tagliani 6th, Rafa Matos in 7th, Vitor Mira 8th, Servia and Justin Wilson round out the top 10.
And this is going to be very interesting to see if Will Power can get her around Anna Beatrice going into 4. He does. I got to suspect that she sees him coming in the mirror. Hopefully she leaves enough space for Simona to get through also, so Simona doesn't get hung up again going past the back traffic. There's Will Power being able to stretch it just a little bit over Tony Kanaan. You see Tony Kanaan coming into your frame. And then Simona keeps about the same spacing, maybe lost just a little bit. She's not had the timing of traffic on her side so far. There again, she will look to go ahead.
We talked about Tony pushing real hard. He's getting a little loose.
Oh, implying the power. He just gasses it, puts his foot on the Honda power plant. Number 650 horsepower.
And then keep an eye on the wheel of Will Power's car.
Up over the curbing, actually running over a piece possibly that's the piece coming off that we talked about before, which is a side pod extension. Looks like, yes, it's finally broken off. We talked about that earlier in the show. Lucky for him, it went up and over, did not get lodged in there, and actually put a puncture into the tire.
Should not have a major effect on his aerodynamics, should it?
It won't at this particular track. Nope, certainly not. Matter of fact, I'm sure he probably doesn't even know it's missing. And as a driver, even if there's something askew on the car, your job is to look forward and just keep on pushing, hitting your marks, and driving it to 10/10ths.
Down that long Bayshore drive to the left-hander here at turn 10. And then that oh so treacherous turn 11, where you can see the black tire marks from where Sebastian Bourdais tagged it this morning.
Dario Franchitti also, it's 140 miles an hour through there and getting slowed down to the last turn for about 50 miles an hour. This is a neat section.
Tony, 10 laps to go.
Along the Albert Wooded runway, and then 160 miles an hour, Marty, going into turn 1.
And from high above, you can see that there is Simona closing in. Now, as we get ready with 10 laps to go, our ticker on top with the complete rundown of everybody, presented by Sunoco. Simona has done such a good job, and you're right, she really has a better comfort level with the alternate tires.
Car works better for her. We saw her pace fall off a little bit with the black tires on, as we documented, but right now she really needs to start working that push to pass. She's now used it twice, but she really needs to push it so she can get close to Tony, so when Tony has a moment where the back end of the car starts to slide around, she can take advantage of that. I think Tony's slowed up his pace a little bit. Will seems to be stretching it away. And for Simona, she seems to be about a couple of tenths of a second faster than Tony. Obviously, Tony has years and years of experience. He knows what he needs to do.
Good job, Tim. Good job.
9 laps to go now. The lead is down to 6.8 seconds, but I have a feeling it's more Dario Franchitti. Whoa, as you see Tony light him up going into 1.
Right, and that's what I was talking about. Get close, put more pressure on him. His tires are probably not got as much grip as hers do. Just keep continuing to pressure him, to pressure him, to pressure him.
We were mentioning the lead is down to 6.8 seconds. I was getting ready to say it's more, I think, just Dario Franchitti knowing he's got a comfort level, not trying to do anything that would be crazy and put him out of this race.
Well, as the leader, you'll start to leave yourself a little bit more room on the turns going in.
Only, high percentage.
And also on the exit of the turns, you won't be so aggressive picking up the throttle, also into the braking zones, leaving yourself a few more inches so you don't have any problems close to the wall.
Let's drop back a little farther in the field, pick up the battle for 9th with Oriol Servia and Justin Wilson. There is Servia in the 0-2, Justin right up behind him. A little bit further back, that is the 9 of Scott Dixon. Dixon is 4 laps down. He was in that first lap melee. He's in 16th position.
And Marty, that's a tough program to do when you are that far back and you really know that you're not going to make up any space. You're out there actually almost just pacing off laps. For Dixon, very difficult. Oh, something's happened to Will Power. He's slowed down there a fair amount. For Tony, actually, it's a passing car of EJ Vizo.
So there. That is EJ Vizo, the 59, and yeah, it is a bit deceptive. Look at it there. You can see Tony's car, similarly paint scheme. Best way to look at it is on the wing plate, where you see Geico and Herbalife.
Now what happens here? Does EJ make the pass easy for Tony and maybe a little bit more difficult for Simona? Let's see what happens here. The team would have told him that your teammate's coming up from behind. EJ should just go to one side or the other, get off the throttle, going down the straightaway, should let these guys go through and race. But he's driving hard enough now, it looks like it's going to mess up Simona going into the turn. Yep, she's got to run a tighter line. A little bit more difficult. Now she goes wide. That's just got to anger her so much. And you know something?
You're all right.
For Vizo, not very professional.
So it costs Simona quite a bit of ground, and now she's got to try and figure out how to get around EJ Vizo. We can tell you that Will Power and Tony Kanaan have been burning up the push to pass. Kanaan is down to 6 left. Power's down to 9. Dario Franchitti's lead, 7.7 seconds.
Yeah, but for EJ Viso, 6 laps off the pace. Most professional thing would do is to ease off the throttle going down the straightaway, let both those guys, guy and girl, go ahead and have their race. Right now, he's really taken Simona really off the challenge.
Well, and the two of them have now dropped 3 seconds behind Will Power through this whole process. Vince, you've got more?
I think one of the things, Scott, is you talk about the fact that Di Silvestro lost all that time trying to pass EJ Viso, but they were only going to make that move on Tony Kanaan if the door was completely open. They were not going to take a chance on ruining this top 4 finish by taking a gutsy move and end up crashing with Kanaan in these final laps. So even though Di Silvestro certainly got hung up by Viso, I think that door would have had to have been pretty wide open to make that move on Kanaan for her to make it here in these final laps.
Well, and Vince, you make a great point, because her first session out here, I mean, they were struggling with the car setup, and they kept getting better and getting better. And if somebody would have said, hey, at the beginning of the day, you're going to start 17th and you can have a chance to finish 4th, they'd be doing backflips, and they will be.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think she did a very professional move, as Vince has documented. My point is, though, it should not even have been the case. We shouldn't be discussing it, because Viso should have been out of the gas, and he's not anywhere close in the package. And what we say, what comes around goes around, that's going to happen.
Viso right there, 19th position, 6 laps down. Whoa, Justin Wilson. Remember, he was in a battle with Oriol Servia, and he could end up losing the spot, as J.R. Hildebrand could end up getting around him.
We expected Justin to be a little bit more competitive here this weekend, because he loves this course. It's his 2nd year with the Dreyer and Reinbold team right now. He says there's a lot of opportunity. Same thing for Scott Dixon. Now, it won't affect him, because, as you mentioned, he is 4 laps down.
Well, and we can tell you that Justin Wilson is now behind both Danica Patrick and J.R. Hildebrand. That is a battle for position. Hildebrand in front of Danica, and that is...
Hey, you got Wilson behind you for position, too, so just keep that in mind.
On board with Danica. 6.
See, Hildebrand gets through that segment out of turn 1 through 2 and 3 down towards 4. A little bit better than Danica does.
Hildebrand has a chance to have the best finish for the rookies. He's running in 10th. 7.1. That is the margin between 1st and 2nd. They're letting Dario Franchitti know just how much in control of this race he truly is. He has led all but 6 laps, and there are just 4 remaining.
Talked before about him starting to back up the time just a little bit. I noticed there it's a little bit more space of the wall. Instead of inches, you start to leave maybe close to a foot away from the wall as he starts to go through the kink there at 140 miles an hour. Let's see what he does here. A good 1.5 feet, 2 feet, maybe even more away from the wall. Just no sense in putting any pressure, any chance.
Well, to give you an idea, his last lap was 1:05. His fastest lap, 1:04, a full second that he's just backing off. There's the push to passes, and Tony Kanaan has only 2 left, and Simona has reeled him in again, despite the delay that EJ Viso threw at her.
Oh, and who tells you who's got a faster car? Push to pass, she's got to use it right now. Get on the inside. Tony's going to move her over just a little bit. Get the draft, try to pop in the inside of him. Be tough to outbrake Tony Kanaan. Does she have the opportunity to do it?
She's looking.
She's looking.
Be smart.
And you heard him say, be smart.
Hey,
Kanaan is down to 1 push to pass, and there's 3 laps to go. Simona has 16.
She's got to push hard, keep on the tail end of Tony's car, so when she gets down to turns 13 and 14, she has an opportunity to take a run at him.
Vince?
Well, I'll tell you what, when she tried to make that move on Kanaan down the front straight and Kanaan moved to his right a little bit, it got Vince Kramer off the pit box in a hurry to talk to INDYCAR Series officials, feeling that Kanaan blocked her down the front straightaway. Scott, as you know, that was a topic of conversation in the drivers' meeting today.
And that all stemmed, Vince, and that was a great call. That all stemmed from Tony making a slight mistake in turn 13 and 14, just a little bit wide. She's not close enough right now to probably be able to make some run at him. But see, she's got much better braking going into the turn, but she has to make sure that she carries the speed through mid-turn, has the opportunity to exit at the same speed that Tony does.
2 laps remaining. She did not hit the button that time, so she did not get that extra horsepower boost.
Now, if you're going to pass going into turn 1, that is set up down in turns 13 and 14. You need to set it up back there if you're going to accomplish it down to turn 1. She needs to maybe enter in just a little slower going into the turn, and then you need to come through the middle of the turn, exit the turn at the same speed as the car in front, being Tony, or maybe a little quicker. Hit that push to pass, and then she'll have the momentum to carry her to the inside of the turn.
Working lap 98 of 100 here at the streets of St. Petersburg.
Be smart, 14. Don't let him jack you with the brakes. Be smart.
White flag now for Dario Franchitti as he comes down the front straightaway.
Last lap.
Final lap for Dario. 1.8 miles to go. There is second place Will Power. This is the best battle on the track.
Looks good. Carried out to the wall. Tony's running a bit of a blocking line. This looks good for her. She's going to have to outbrake him, though.
Tony Kanaan hits the button for the last time. He is out of push to pass. He's going to hold her off. So she'll have to do it somewhere very soon because she's running out of the corners.
See, and she has... That's a blocking move right there, boys.
Down into 4. We'll wait to see what IndyCar officials do. She's right on him through 5 and 6. The next best passing zone will be down into turn number 10.
Not close enough quite yet. But she's going to have to push the button to push to pass, going down to 13 and 14. So hopefully she has enough of a drive coming out of last turn.
Let's go back to the finish line because here's Dario.
Great job.
His first win at St.
baby, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
His 27th career win. Will Power is second. Now the battle for third, and looks like Tony Kanaan is going to hold her.
Good job, Tim. Great job. Checkered flag, checkered flag. Hey, Vic.
Third goes to Tony.
P3, brother.
Great run for Simona Di Silvestro in fourth. And much further back, about 13 more seconds, will be Takuma Sato in fifth. Here he comes with the Lotus colors, saluting his pit crew by driving close to the wall. But right now, it is all about that man right there, Dario Franchitti. He has never won a season opening race. Picks up right where he left off after winning the championship last year. Is this a sign of things to come? Let's talk to Chip Ganassi, his car owner. How about it, Jamie?
And there's high fives and hugs everywhere. Another first for Chip Ganassi getting his first win here at St. Pete. Chip, after the crash yesterday, your boys went to work and they put this car back together for the win. What does that say about this 10 team?
Well, you know, it was just the same team. They're ready to go out. You know, they obviously won the championship last year, and this is the way you want to come out in the first race.
All right, he got the first win today, and his driver, Juan Pablo Montoya, is sitting on the pole for the NASCAR race later on today.
And look at Chip. He is just loving it. He is loving it. While he continues on around the track, we want to check in with Simona's crew and what they saw in those last few laps. Vince?
Well, Marty, they did not get the victory. Simona Di Silvestro finishing fourth, but Keith Wiggins, team owner, I got to believe it's almost like a win for you with the effort that Simona and this team put together today. How impressed were you with the performance of the 78 team?
Well, I think we came from an interesting week, you know, with an engineer swap and some pressure put on us. But, you know, we got a great sponsor now and a great opportunity. And we've always believed in Simona. So I'm not going to say it's like a win, because a win's a win, right? And we've still got a job to do. But, you know, we just showed that we can do it. And she didn't put her foot wrong. And, you know, we got a little block at the end there, but I would have liked to have got third. But, you know, it's a good start to the season, and she did a great job.
How about that maneuver by Tony Kanaan to keep Simona behind him? What was your thought? I saw Vince Kramer immediately complain to the IZOD INDYCAR official about it.
Well, there's a rule, right? So we'll leave them to decide if they want the rule or they don't want the rule. But whatever. I mean, you know, it would be nice to have got past him. But it's a good result. We'll take it.
Congratulations, Keith.
Thank you.
Marty.
A career best finish for Simona Di Silvestro as she comes home in fourth position behind our race winner Dario Franchitti, Will Power, and Tony Kanaan. Well, let's go to our Honda Victory Lane celebration because Dario Franchitti's sitting on the side of the car, and all we got to do is get him to spin around and take his helmet off.
And Dario, he was pumping his fist, hitting the steering wheel. Chip Ganassi came up and gave him a high five. I know this is a big win for him, especially what he went through yesterday. A lot of damage on this race car. A lot of people anticipating there would not be a run like he had today. Dario, I know you're all connected here. There we go, got the helmet off. After what you went for yesterday, I mean, you made light of it and said you straight ran out of talent. How did you guys as a team fight back for this today?
Well, that's what this Target team does. They keep fighting, and you know, they've definitely taught me that never to give up. What a brilliant team, man! What a brilliant team, and that was how to do it today. That anybody that's questioning my or the team's motivation to go for it again, we'll see what we did today. No, this runs right through the team. This will to win. I want to say hi to Robert and Michael Wanzer up there in Indy. We're thinking about you guys, and they're a big part of the Target team too.
Dario, I have to ask you, I mean, you were up front, you didn't get to see a lot of what happened, but what is your take on the double file restarts today?
Well, like I said earlier, we're going to have to reassess what the risk is and how we attack that first corner. And there's obviously, there's definitely more risk there. It was easier for Will and I being up front. I don't know what happened, but I think everybody will be a little bit more, what's the word, circumspect about it next time maybe.
All right, Dario Franchitti, your winner here at St. Petersburg, Florida for the first time. Marty?
All right, thank you very much, Jamie, and a very happy Dario Franchitti moves him into a tie now, 10th all-time with Johnny Rutherford with his 27th career win. Rick, let's talk to Will Power.
Yeah, standing by Will Power, not the race you thought you were going to lead. You just had a rough time just surviving the first few laps. You said you did have a little contact in there.
Yeah, someone hit me from behind. It was a lot of fun, all those restarts. But, man, Dario was so quick. I could not keep with him on the blacks. Just didn't have the car there. I mean, he was just fast. He was just crazy fast. But it was still a solid day. You know, I was worried about those double file restarts. But just, you know, great for Verizon, Maya, Coke, IZOD, Shell, but especially at Verizon to start the championship off this well.
All right, Will Power, congratulations. Vince?
All right, so Will Power, happy, but not as happy as he might be if he could have just gotten one more spot.
The sign of a true driver, wants to win them all the way through. And Keith Wiggins, you know, fourth, I want third, you know. That's the way it goes.
All right, let's check in with fourth place, Simona Di Silvestro. Vince?
Simona, you waited till late in the race to use any of your push to pass. Do you look back on that and see maybe that strategy would have been played a little differently if you had a chance to do it again?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I would have used it a little bit earlier, but, you know, on blacks it was just kind of trying to make a steady pace, and then when we put the reds on, you know, we were really pushing, and, you know, maybe it's just because it's back in the car for the first time again in the race, getting used to everything, but, you know, the team did an awesome job, and my new engineer too. You know, we've been working together only since Friday, and to finish fourth, my best result is something pretty unbelievable.
Congratulations. Rick?
Well, you had quite a battle going there with Simona Di Silvestro at the end, Tony. I mean, you didn't expect to compete for a victory, and you didn't expect to compete with Simona Di Silvestro out there.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect anything, and that's a good thing. I got to thank the whole Geico KV team to give me an opportunity to race this weekend. My fans, my family, my sponsors in Brazil that made this happen a week ago, actually 6 days ago. So proud of the guys. I'm afraid I raised the bar a little too high right now, so we have a lot of work to do, but good result. The guys are, you know, the first weekend together, so I'm happy.
I'll tell you what, Tony Kanaan is exhausted.
And our next stop, of course, is going to be the Indianapolis 500, and you've got to think that might be one of the guys that could win.
Oh, I think there's no doubt that he has an opportunity, but there's a lot of new drivers and new places. I think it's all going to get sorted out. But the competitive level of the IndyCar Series is at an all-time high. I think we're going to see multiple race winners this year, Marty. It's going to be exciting.
What do you think going into Indy?
Indianapolis certainly turn around and end up having a situation where the team can be there on the first level with the driver. It's going to come down to communication and speed.
Okay, our 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. It'll be Sunday, May 29th at 11 a.m. That's when we'll see you next. Congratulations to Dario Franchitti. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC. For our entire crew, this is Marty Reed. Till we meet again. Of St. Petersburg. This green. Oh, they're going to try 4 wide. We had contact and a huge crash right in the first corner.
It's been smooth sailing for Dario Franchitti so far today.
Will Power is so fast. gets out front, they just can't keep up with him.
Get him now, or you may not get another chance. Dario Franchitti picks up right where he left off after winning the championship last year. Is this a sign of things to come?